Good afternoon all, CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, August 10th, and we are looking at Window Trader's market profile of SPY, IWM, and triple Qs. And another very quiet day, low 40s in volume-wise, 41, 42 million. I was talking to the room, it's a quiet day again. We talked about, well, what's happening here? We're in a 3-day balance now. We opened yesterday at 442.45, today at 442.61, and we closed at 442.65. So in 2 trading days, what's really been accomplished? And the answer is nothing. Even though we made a new all-time high Friday, yesterday sellers stopped the one-time framing, went back to balance. Today made an all-time high again, but I'm calling this a 3-day balance. The question we have to continually ask ourselves, is this Laggards buying? I am never one, and you know that, those of you who follow me, I'm not one to say, I'm calling a top or anything else. What I am saying is this: buyers need to start getting some tempo, volume, and acceleration and distance away from that previous 10-day balance. They have to, right? Now it's a 3-day balance, because if they don't, at some point, they're going to give it up. And once that happens, if you start taking out some daily lows, then we have to worry about the weekly low. And believe it or not, is the monthly stretched? Of course it is. So these are all things that you're not going to get an all-time high and know it, right? The odds of it coming on a day where you have incredible excess, it makes a new high, rips down. Today actually, at one point I thought might be the case. When B ripped up, and then C had that absolute push down, I was like, wow, we have some pretty good excess. Now, we left some of it, but F took most of it back. We still ended with overlap and a higher value. Now, can that be the all-time high for a while? Sure it can. But right now, the monthly and weekly are up. The daily's in balance. Triple Qs start one-time framing up, have nothing except the all-time high in front of them, and they absolutely reverse in B, flush in C, go out with 2 sets of single prints, and an outside day down. So that's a little worrisome. They literally got within 30, 35 cents of their all-time high and end with an outside day down and a double distribution day. Very odd price action. Russell really spun its wheels. Look what Russell did. Took out the day's low yesterday by 2 cents. Took out the day's high by a few pennies. End up nowhere. Half back. Same as yesterday just about. So you can treat today as an inside day in Russell. Come out of it. You go with it one way or the other. You go with it and you monitor it for continuation. As for us, balance rules are firmly going to apply. You come out of the top of the balance, you go, right? We know the balance rules. So there's three rules to them. So play them tomorrow. Now, if we look to gap higher or lower, well, then you could possibly have both gap rules, and we'll see if the balance rules still apply. But if we open inside these 3 days, balance rules will apply. I had a good day. Not a lot of trading again, but more than I have in the past. I took a long in A period when we got back above the opening, looking for us to finally get yesterday's high and go for the all-time high, which we did. I had the 441 calls. Then in B period, I didn't take the break of it, but when B came back a bit, I took the 442 calls this time. Any push up, I was selling. Any push down, I was adding a little bit. I didn't have a lot, but I got paid on them. And then I thought we would have single prints. So I actually bought some more in B. We didn't have singles. I was like, if we don't get much more in C, if we take out B's low amount, I got out of some, and then when C came down, took off the rest. So I did okay on my longs in A and B. I did not get caught at all. I did nothing in C. Now I did take a short in D. When D came back up, I took it against yesterday's high. It worked the first time with the 444 puts as it backed down, but it was a small trade and I didn't get much for it. And then the only other trade I took, which was my best trade of the day, was an I. I was looking for an afternoon pullback low. We had the POC that was raised. up higher. We had overlap into higher value. So when D came down, when I came down, I took a long to start, a small start, and at the time, value low. Again, I'm in twos now. It was around value low. I took a 15 lot, I think, and then a 50 lot. So, and at the low of that lot, that was very nice. Rode those back up in I, taking them off as they went, and took the rest off right around. Actually, I held some. Believe it or not, I held some. When J took out H and I's high, I took off the last that I had. So it was a really nice trade. And I'm telling you, literally seconds after I took it off, J just ripped right back down. Now, I didn't get long again. I was like, that's kind of weird, that price action. We just stopped the one-time framing down in when we took out H and I's high. Values overlapping a high. We have a wide POC. I was a little concerned when we reversed like that. Obviously, it would have been the right thing because after it went back down, J, we went back up. And that was the last, that was it. That was the only trade, last trade I took was an I. We continually get wide POCs. Last 5 days, we've had POCs at least 9 wide. Again, that's kind of rare to continually have wide POCs, especially when we're trying to make new highs and get distance away from them. So what is that telling you? It's telling you buyers are having the ability to get a new high, but they're not able to do anything else when you keep getting these wide POCs, as we just trade sideways. It also means there's no sellers here either. But I still think buyers need to start getting their act together a little more as far as getting above that previous balance. As far as destinations, there's only 2 to the upside. That would be 442.85, 10 wide, B's low. And then the all-time high, today's high, 443.44. For the downside, we don't have anything to today's low of 441.88. Then we have yesterday's low of 441.31. Then the all-important price probe. Remember, we tried to get into it yesterday, never did. So we'll see. If we come out of this 3-day balance low, we're sure to test and probably take it out. 441.14. Then the 12 wide. That's 12, not 11. ES has a 13 wide POC. I'm 12 at that level at 440.81. Afternoon pullback low in H of 440.41. 439.88 daily low. 439.65. Remember that naked POC? It was an upside destination. We opened above it. We've never seen it yet, right? We got about $4 or $5 above it, or $4. Haven't seen it yet. And then below that, we have 438.73 daily low. Don't forget, we held those little single prints from the 3rd. 438.72 get filled at 67. And the weekly low, 436.10. Please write those down so we don't have to go over them tomorrow, especially if we do look like we're going to open lower. So, let's go to the chart. And again, I'm just going to show you the SPY. So the monthly, look, one time framing up for 10 months. There's no doubt we're getting stretched, but who's to say what's stretched? Is it 5 months? No. Is it 10 months? I don't know. Maybe it'll be 13 months, or maybe it is only 10 months. But to keep trying to pick a top, absolute silliness. Weekly, one time framing up. We had that outside week up 3 weeks ago. Did we get much for it? No. Have we gotten any distance away from it? A little bit. 440.30 was that week's high. We closed at 442.68. So we're $2.30 higher, but this is 2.5 weeks later. So we're not getting the distance you would like to see. Keep that in mind. And don't forget, we took out last week's high now. Last week's low, we had such a tight range. Not only could we have an outside week down, you could wipe out 2 weekly lows if we decided to come in. Right? Is that possible? Of course it is. And how can that be possible? Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the daily. We're in a 3-day balance. If we don't get our act together and get above this 3-day balance, we very easily could take out the bottom of the 3-day balance, get acceptance into this previous 10-day balance. Well, if we get acceptance into there, guess what? The ultimate destination would be the bottom of it, and that's last week's low and the prior week's low. What would be right before that? The 20-day moving average, which is at 437 $1,667. So for my money's worth, buyers need to get going and get really fresh reinforcements and new blood in here. Otherwise, I have a feeling we can take out a lot of reference points to the downside in a short period of time. I hope you had a great day trading. Enjoy your evening. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Thanks for the likes and subscriptions to the channel. And we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.